What we're covering today is actually our Pillars retreat that we recently had.
Okay, so just to kind of take you through the rough timeline, I'm going to take you through the timeline of what happened at retreat. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jason and ask about what he wanted to get out of it and kind of more of the business focus.
This is the Agent Goldmine, where you'll find real talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what the killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it. All tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of The Agent Goldmine. Today, we are doing something slightly different, and I'm excited, so you should be too. What we're covering today is actually our Pillars retreat that we recently had, because we just got back from 5 Pillars retreat, and it was the first iteration of us ever doing it. And I want to eventually kick it off to Shelby to give a reason even why. But overall, it was a bunch of us pillars coming from all over the country to this one spot that no one had ever really been to, that no one lives in, and totally isolating ourselves. This sounds like a horror movie, but I promise it wasn't. Totally like isolating ourselves and talking business, like getting to know each other and really what our goals are, who we are as people, more than just day-to-day interactions. Oh, cool, this person's cool, but like really getting to know the background of people on our crew, what drives us, and how we're helping each other push each other forward for 2024 and on. So, Shelby, why even you're the one who started, we used to have team trip, which was a good vacation. So why make the switch from team trip to retreat?
Dude, good question. So back in 2019, when we had our first ever team trip, it was just a bunch of us in this house that we used to work at because like our office ran out of like a residential property that we later got kicked out by the city. Whole nother story. We were sitting around the table and we're like, yo, like we should go to Costa Rica. And like within 5 minutes, we were all like, yes, absolutely. That's a great idea. Let's go to Costa Rica. And so we started the first ever team trip, which literally was just, we were a lot younger then. And it was just a trip where you like go and you blow off steam. There was no business focus. There was no real growth focus. It was just fun, which no regrets, super love it. But we did that over the span of the next 4 years. So we went to Costa Rica, then we went to Tulum, then we went to Belize, and then we went to Colombia, the country. And after all of those experiences, I was like, you know what? We're transforming as people. And so this transformation carries over in a lot of different ways into our life. And so we were like, you know what, if we did a retreat that is a lot more intentional and purposeful and has an agenda, an intent behind all of it for us to grow together and also have that time and space off the grid where we put away our phones and we put away, a lot of the craziness of the world of real estate and really get to go through certain learning and experiences and activities together. That's the reason why. It was really just to grow and have our event transform along with the transformation of our life. Does that make sense? Yes, hopefully. Look, and by the way, we haven't introduced him yet. Jason Boice is back. You guys probably remember him from his episode a while ago. He is most likely going to be our powerhouse pillar of the year. He has closed of transactions this year, but he was also at Pillars Retreat and we wanted to bring him in because Allie and I sometimes get on this hype train of like just increasing levels of wild and, energy. And Jason has this like really nice, like robotic kind of, he's just, he's a machine. And so he's here to level us out and give a different perspective to people listening. But the takeaway that we want from this episode, we want to share like the insight of what we experienced from this, but also like maybe you're out there and you want to plan an event, or maybe you're considering going to a retreat or a conference or something like that in the next year. And we kind of want to share what you can potentially get out of that. So with that, okay, so just to kind of take you through the rough timeline, I'm going to take you through the timeline of what happened at retreat, like baseline. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jason and ask about what he wanted to get out of it and kind of more of like the business focus from Jason. And then we can also talk about like the fun that we did too. But first, here's our overview. Okay, so this was in Lake Gadsden, North Carolina, kind of off the grid. And we had people fly from all over, obviously, Allie from Arizona and Jason from Connecticut. And we had people from Texas and Florida and all over the place came in, and they called it the Pillars Express, like little pickup from the airport. It was adorable. But anyway, people flew in and were picked up on Thursday in Veterans Day weekend. Of course, we're veterans, right? Well, Jason. Jason's like the one who's okay. No, we're not all veterans. You don't have to have served or currently serving to be in here, but there are a lot of us who are, veterans. So it's Veterans Day weekend, Thursday, we all show up and it's kind of like orientation night. We also had a content crew come in, like a full ass videographer, photographer, and be on the lookout. By the time this episode gets released, they'll probably be out, but like some cool footage is coming soon. So everyone gets there on Thursday, and the rooms, this house it's a 8,000 square foot house on a couple acres. It's lakefront. There's a boat, there's kayaks, there's a heated pool, there's the hot tub, the fire pit, like every like toy that you can possibly imagine is there. So like everyone gets settled and oriented. And then the next day, which is Friday morning, we kick it off early. Jason was in charge of coffee. So all the coffee was made by 5:30, and we did team building event. We did a day of like education and food. And throughout the day at the end, we had like a family campfire story time. Then we did roughly the same schedule on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we all got together and did a very classic military style AAR, which is an after action review, where we talk about, things that we thought went really well and things we can improve on for next time. And then we were released into the universe, having been changed forever by the experience. What did I miss, guys? Lots of details, but
That was a good overview.
okay.
Yeah, great overview.
Thanks so much, Jason. Okay, so well, I'm going to turn it over to you then. Can you talk about when you were coming to retreat, what did you want to get out of it? And what did you get out of it?
So going in, I left it up to my travel agent. So I didn't really know what to expect because I did not read the agenda.
Classic.
Yeah. But my main reason for going was, right, like we meet virtually multiple times throughout the week, throughout the month, right, to cover different business building topics, educational topics. And it's awesome. And I love all of that. And that's one of the main reasons I love being part of Five Pillars. But the biggest thing for me was being in Connecticut. Most people I hadn't met in person. So it was really meeting those people in person, getting to find out more about them, their business, them, their lives, other than just, the minimal interaction we've had over team trainings and that type of stuff. So that was my biggest reason going in. And I totally got that. That was fantastic. And one of the best parts was so I went with my girlfriend and my business partner, and so did a whole bunch of other people. And I don't know if anyone else out there works with their significant other, but there are a whole bunch of different intertwined challenges that go along with that. And to be able to really bounce that off the other couples that work together and see how they deal with some of those challenges, how they communicate, and to hear that we fight sometimes, right? And to hear that we're not alone, other people have the same. So that was one of the best parts, was really talking to the other couples and how they separate roles, how they work together. And then the other big thing, again, because I didn't read the agenda, I know, Shelby, you spent one whole day going through vision and brand building. And that I got a lot out of that, because it allowed me to really step back, and rather than me just throwing stuff out on social media, kind of doing it with more of a purpose of what is my overall brand. And then the best part of being in person was actually later that night, about 8 of us ended up for 2 hours around a table, giving each other feedback and talking about that. That is the biggest reason for me to go to something like that, because we can give each other live feedback, shows people some Instagram posts. Hey, based on what I'm seeing on you on Instagram, this is what I think your brand is. And that dialogue and feedback is just, that's huge for me.
No, dude, for me also, I'm obsessed with the idea of the personal brand right now, which is similar to you. Over the years, when I first got started, I never thought deeply about my personal brand and being really purposeful about the messaging and consistent in the messaging. And a lot of times, we just, like you said, sling spaghetti and not even realize like what that spaghetti is telling the world about us. So I love that everyone there was a super nerd and like really just as into it as everyone else and like building and growing and learning and getting the feedback. I feel like, yeah, that was really powerful. So I'm glad you liked it too.
Actually, two of the most beneficial portions. One was actually Jason, me sitting down with you, being that I am moving, potentially to an area that doesn't have a military sphere at all, and that's what I'm used to. That's what my clients have been. So being able to sit down with you to go over Zillow specifics, the strategy behind it, like how you are kicking with Zillow leads and like the conversion and just the behind the scenes of what that even looks like from not a sales rep at Zillow. Of course I could do that with a sales rep at Zillow. I'm doing it with someone who is, doing it in their business and successful. So that was like super, super helpful. And that was one of the nights that before I got drunk. And then number two, the second one was when we had like a morning. First of all, Shelby, I love the itinerary. I loved how everyone had like a job, like
Good
a duty
job.
description. Yeah, it was like so cute. Like, Jason coffee and someone else was pickup and someone else was dinner and whatever. I think also loved best that I was on standby. So in the itinerary, it like every day there was like in the morning there was, hey, this is what's happening today, just in case you guys didn't read the itinerary. And then in the evening it was like, hey, this is what's happening tomorrow, right? So in the morning we more so had working on our brain stuff. Well, we had workouts in the morning, and then we had working on our brain stuff, our business, and then in the afternoon was more like fun, find out. And so one of the business activities was Michael Glaspie when he told us and guided us through an if then sequence, like funnel for our business. And we've mentioned this before on a previous episode, but that was so, so helpful. It was like Zapier, however you want to pronounce it. It was like, hey, what happens? How am I going to go through each lead generation strategy, collect them in? What happens if they do this? What happens when they do that? If buyer clicks on this, then what do I want to happen? All the way down for like different funnels, different lead generation strategies. So I really, that was like, those two things were the most powerful part in my business that I took away from retreat.
Dude, I love those too because like Mike and I obviously talked about it before, what we wanted to do. But one of the things that we really wanted to do that I think worked really well was the fact that there were activities. So, like you mentioned, morning is brain power, afternoon was to find out, which is totally true. But like in the morning, it wasn't just like people pounding you with content the whole time. It was like, here's this one piece of information. Now you have 10 minutes, go think about it, sketch it out. Okay, 10 minutes is up. Now brainstorm with the people next to you for the next 10 or 15 minutes. And I really think that giving the time to learn a piece of content and then put it into practical application and walk away with tactical roadmap for you to implement when you come home. I just love that.
Thank you for listening. Out of respect for your time, we want to make this show as valuable as possible for you. So if you have any feedback on how we can improve, please let us know. DM us at Allie the Agent and The Shelby Show.
10 out of 10 agree. Like the breakouts were fantastic. Like, and one of the things that we did is we would try to break out with different people, to get different opinions, but then especially going through like Mike's mapping out your whole business and that type, because then we're able to get feedback from other people like, oh, well, when I have a lead come in, it goes like this. And it's, oh, well, I've been doing this, but that's a good idea, right? So you get, you're able to get feedback from other people. B, you're able to see what other people are doing and go, hey, do I like that? Do I not? But then also to get like an outside perspective of what your workflow looked like. And is there a way for you to be more efficient? Or is there someone else's perspective of, hey, you can actually hire that out to challenge you, right? My internal thinking might be like, hey, I need to do this. But an external perspective might be like, dude, I hired that out, was the best thing ever. And I think you're capable of doing it too. This is how I did it, right? So it really allowed external feedback and a little bit of challenge maybe. Yeah, no, the breakouts were also awesome. And then you got to know a little bit more about each person's business and how they ran things as well.
That's what I thought was so interesting interestingly powerful of this retreat was that, like, you doing of closings every single month got value out of it, but so did the brand new agent. Like every level got value. So it wasn't tailored for like new or medium or like experienced agents. It helped everyone no matter what part of the business you're in.
Yeah, and I think, you get out of it what you want to bring into it. What your mindset is going into it and how open-minded you want to be to get feedback and participate is what you're going to walk away with. And yeah, 10 out of 10 agree. And it's such a collaborative group, right? Everyone's willing to help everyone. Like when Mike was talking, one of the things that I'm really trying to focus on in 2024 in my business is really nailing the numbers so that I can make better business decisions, right? What is my ROI on every single lead source and marketing material that I'm doing? And does it make sense for me to increase my ad spend there because the ROI is good, or decrease? And in the past, I'm just kind of guessing, yeah, I got a bunch of closings from there and I spent about this much, but it's just an educated guess. And so I've been trying to wrap my head around, all right, what's the best, most efficient way to do it? And Mike's, oh, dude, I got a sheet for that. I'll shoot you an email later with it. And I have it now, and we're setting it up, right? So like that that type of collaboration as well is just, yeah, right. Everyone who wants to see everyone else do better, there's not competition, it's more collaboration. That's just, they say, right, I hear this saying over and over again, and sometimes it's like beating a dead horse, but the version of show me the five people you hang out with most and I'll tell you your future. But it's so true. For me, I get so pumped up like being around a group of people that are not competitive is a bad word, that all are collaborative and want to see each other do better, right? Everyone's competitive because they want to be good, but not competitive. Ooh, I'm not going to share my secrets, right? It's more competitive as, hey, we might want to try to outdo each other, but we also want to help each other and help lift each other up at the same time.
Dude, it's funny with the competitive. You're totally right in like the business setting. Everyone's, yeah, let's share. Here's what I do, whatever. And then at team building, this was morning too, 7 a.m. when we had that scavenger hunt. So, okay, guys, we on each morning at 7, we have a fitness activity, which we'll get into day 1 in a second because that was really cool. But day 2 was a scavenger hunt. And at each different location, there was a clue. And you had to put each clue together to form a phrase. And we were split up on teams and everyone had their wristbands. So you had different color teams and different people. And that's when the competitiveness came out. Dude, I saw one group like running, and they were joking, of course, but like locking the gate behind them, be like, oh, suck it. Like that was fun. And with that, I was wondering if Jason, you might share one of the cool things we did day 1 when we in the team building stuff.
Yeah. So you're talking cold plunge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't just give
So,
it away. That's fine. Okay. No, just
so
kidding.
I was like, we did it more than day one.
Oh yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
that's a
So,
whole nother point too.
so, well, and that's just the other part, right? So as we got to learn more about each other's lives, like I'm like a health nerd, and come to find out, so are a bunch of other people in the group, right? So that was really just another kind of cool connection. So I've become, one of the things that I've done as I've gotten more into health and fitness as I've gotten older is cold plunging. And so I've been doing a lot of Instagram posts about it because we cold plunge in our cold ass lake here in Connecticut. But no longer, I did just buy an actual plunge. So yeah, so as a group, we all, after the morning workout, we all cold plunged in the lake. And yeah, it was so much fun that everyone wanted to do it a second day. So the second day we did it again.
Yeah, dude, that actually really surprised me because, and that's one of the things with events. Okay, guys, like no one wants to do a cold plunge except for maybe Jason. They're like, gosh, that sounds terrible. Not only do I have to strip down into my most vulnerable state with these, people who I do see all the time, but it's like a whole nother level when you're just stripped down at 7 a.m. next to them. And then fling my body into a lake when it's not warm. Like this is November. And so I was super happy that everyone liked it so much that they wanted to do it again the next day. But it's those things that really bond you. It's, building something up in your head, going through something that is like vulnerable and painful, and then suffering through it. We stayed in there for 2 minutes. And then after that, it's wow, everyone just feels a lot more connected. Okay, so yeah, we all jumped into the lake together. And then afterwards, it was actually really cool. We went to the hot tub, not everyone, but we jumped in the pool after that and stayed in the hot tub, and someone lit a fire. There's always the fire pit going. Was really cool. But yeah, these super freaking health nerds. So I thought that I was a healthy person, sleep and drink water and work out and all that stuff. No, we have actual super freaks in this organization. Very fun, pleasant surprise to the extent of, Jason's doing like genetic testing and has a very specific diet, not it's like an optimal performance diet. Not like, oh, I want to lose weight, I'm watching my calories. It was like, no, I'm understanding my genetics and therefore I'm really particular about what I put in my body because it directly impacts my performance. And then we have Rebecca, who is, every product in your kitchen, everything you put on your body, and Trevor Anderson the same way, with understanding that the preservatives and the chemicals and all of that stuff is going into you. And it was just a really cool conversation, especially since all of us really do care about optimizing our performance and longevity in this world in peak state. All that to say, I'm going to swoop it over now to the fact that we did this thing called story time. So at the end of each day, we would have the team building in the morning, the exercise. We would do the good stuff for our brains, all the business, the development activities. We would kind of have like free time in the afternoon to around and find out with all the cool toys and stuff. And then after dinner in the evening, we would come back and we had story time, which Jason, would you tell us about that?
Yeah, so story time was great, super vulnerable for the people up there speaking. So basically, what it was is each night, one person got up and really kind of told their story, as far as where they started, where they are today, all the troubles, tribulations that they kind of went along the way, whether it's trauma from when they were growing up to relationships with parents, significant others, and what they've overcome, what they're still working on, where they want to go in the future. And it was moving to really listen to people kind of, right? Like you said, Shelby, we see each other regular basis through a screen, but a lot of these, a big portion of the group is the first time we're meeting them in person for the weekend. And for people to really open up and be that vulnerable, kind of really got a good understanding of who they are, what they've been through, what motivates them, and where they are today. So a lot of kudos to them for being brave and vulnerable, tough word, to get up there and say everything they did. And then as far as being in the audience, we really felt a good sense that you kind of really understood who they were and what they've been through. What did you get out of it, Allie? I'm
Yeah.
interested.
Allie, what
I'm
did you
extra
want to
interested.
get out of it? And what did you get out of it? Yeah.
What I wanted to get out of it was meet in person, other people, especially those that have joined the crew. And so meet them in person, talk one on one.
What was your most surprising discovery in regard to a personality? Or we did karaoke and there were what was the fun, wild takeaway? Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us, we'll reshare that.
Oh my gosh. While everyone was doing karaoke, I was doing a podcast. I was like recording, with Austin outside. So I missed all of that fun shenanigans. Although, you know what? No, Kimberly definitely tried to get me to sing. And I said, no, 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 no. The one thing actually not related to karaoke and singing, the one very, very specific tactical thing that I got out was during Yesenia's talk about NLP. And because I had never been to NLP is something that's been on my to-do list to look into, to study, later, midterm goal down the road, maybe next year. And so it was perfect. It was awesome that Yesenia got to teach that, and super tactical stuff that I am now able to implement into my own listing descriptions. For example, she had like us do a test as to whether we are kinesthetic, feelers. I forget the different ones. I just know kinesthetic is that's me. And I didn't realize that would mean me. I thought I would be more like, I don't know, one of the other ones. So Ruben Garcia and I did that test like together, and and I didn't realize how I guess like touchy-feely I am, being that like my listing descriptions never once said anything like cool to the touch countertop or like cozy up by the fireplace with a book and be warm, like what, but that appeals to me, so if it appeals to me and I'm not putting it in my listing descriptions, I'm missing out on a whole group of people, which is actually a large group of people. And, like just adding a one liner for each of those four different types of people will be able to have that listing description, which are typically very boring, but you can have that listing description talk to every type of person. So that was like, so it was brilliant. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm adding this every single time. Like the tile being cool to the touch as I'm walking on I can't even, I'm obviously not good at this and I need practice, but when I read it, it feels so good, so I'm going to start implementing that.
I love that too. I loved it too before Yesenia. So Yesenia has also been on this podcast before, and I've known her for years, and she is not one to volunteer to get up and teach anything in front of people. Like it's just not her comfort zone. And so it was really cool to see her take on that personal challenge, and then also how well received it was from everyone. So shout out Yesenia and everyone who's there for being a good person.
And she did. She crushed it. I mean, I never would have known she would shy away from getting up and speaking because yeah, she did a great job. I mean, her presence there and knowledge of the subject was spot on.
Okay, Jason, I want to know, going back to the couples thing, because this is also something that I'm considering bringing Britt into the business. She might get a next job, but she might also work with me. So, what like value did you get? Because I'm sure you each got different bits and pieces, being that you have different roles in your business. And obviously, Jasmine's not here, but can you talk to what you are now going to be able to implement versus her and how that's going to help together?
So, one of the biggest takeaways was identifying your lane and then staying in it. When we fight the most is when we try to like overlap and do the same thing. And then what you should do it this way. No, you should do it this way. That's like oil and water, right? So it's just talking to other couples, and the most when it became successful was figuring out the lanes, but that's easier said than done because I think it takes time to figure out what lane people want, right? Sometimes you have to try things and figure out I hate this, but I'm really good at this and I like doing this. And then so that's the over the last year or so, that's been the struggle Jasmine and I are going through. And in talking to some of the other couples, that was when they really started hitting the stride and having success. And it seemed like a common theme of a little bit of trial and error in the beginning. But my advice would be if it's something you decide to do, go into it asking the questions, hey, like, here's all the stuff that we do. What do you think you would like to do? Because if there's one thing I've learned with Jasmine, like if she doesn't like doing it, it doesn't matter how many times I put it on her task list or tell her to do it. It's not going to happen. She's just going to put it off, right? But if she likes to do it, it'll get done and she'll do it and she'll be like proud that she does it, right? So I think that's number one, like figuring out what they actually want to do. And then working together to separate those lanes and then stay out of each other's way. That was my biggest takeaway.
That's really good. For couples that are getting into the business together, pretty much, Jason, help me. If Britt were to work with me, okay, so division of roles, that's important. I already know, being that I've been in the business 2 years, I know what I like, I know what I don't like. If we both don't like doing the same task, obviously at that point it would be a matter of delegation, but say maybe that task is too, we can't delegate it at this time for some reason. cost, time, whatever it is, what would you suggest? Or maybe a more general question, how do you start aligning with a spouse from the beginning?
So I would say, and this is just the way I look at it, right? I started the business. I'm kind of the owner of the business, so the buck stops with me. So if at the end of the day, that's a role that they're not going to be motivated about and they're not going to do, then it's either on me to outsource it, hire it out, or I'm doing it until we can afford to. That's the best way I've found to do it because, right, and every personality is different, but that is the one thing that I have found with Jasmine is if she doesn't want to do it, then it's not going to happen. So no matter how much I ask her or push her to do it, it's defeating the purpose. And then what was the second part of the question?
So aside from so once we have roles defined, what how do you keep pace? Like we're still eventually gonna have arguments. How do you keep each other accountable and also not burn out because you're with this other person working from home together all the time? How do you avoid burnout? Or are you guys just, hey, we love business all the time. It works for us.
So I can talk about it all day long. Jasmine, not so much. So number one, not gonna lie, therapy, right? No joke. Having someone to bounce that off of and help you go through it, like 10 out of 10 recommend. Yeah. And say she agrees. That has been the biggest breakthrough. Because at first, when we first started, it was like that. And we fought a lot. And that's been the biggest improvement was right us learning what the other one needs and how to ask for that and then how to provide it. Yeah, that's been the biggest breakthrough for us.
I like that you say that because first of all, thank you for being vulnerable. I really appreciate that. Not a lot of people would be, willing to say, "Hey, we're in therapy." But that's what it takes. I think people should be in therapy anyway, regardless whether or not you even think that you're happy. It's always good to have a checkup, I guess is what I would consider it. But I really, really like the fact that couples did come together as long as, the spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever is actually involved in the business, because otherwise I think it might just turn into more of like around and, kind of less businessy. So I really, really liked that portion of it. I also liked we did a lot of self auditing. Like, how is our brand? What is our brand? Do we have an actual, like going back to the brand, what is our font? What's the font size? What are our colors? And not just pink, like what specific, number is our color? That was that was something that I took away as well. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a font, So all this entire time, Allie the agent has been in all different types of fonts, whatever. As long as it says Allie the agent, hey, well, I don't give. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, no, you know what? I picked a font during Pillars Retreat and I went with the font that is behind here because that's everywhere. And so I like reached out to Amber, my assistant at the time, and was like, Amber, please help me. What is my font? And so just tweaking little things that over a period of time is going to be that brand. Like people will recognize, Jason Boice and et cetera. I really like that portion.
The branding stuff, y'all know I'm obsessed with it right now, but I think the Taylor Swift examples and the Alex Hermosi examples, where it's 3 years ago, Drake and I just the other day were watching a YouTube video from Alex Hermosi 3 years ago. He's just in a straight up normal room in a house, nothing in the background, like no thought, no light, and that was 3 years ago. And when whoever, I think it was Ed Milet, was like, how does it feel to be the best in the world? And the thing is, he could have still been arguably in whatever category he was being discussed, the best in the world, even if no one knew it, but he would never be considered that without that huge brand that he built. And so I think by taking those characters that all of us know and arguably love slash are obsessed with Taylor Swift, that really helps paint the picture about how powerful branding really is.
Shelby, I am curious as to being that this was the first retreat, what is next one's going to look like? How is it going to be different? If you would like to share, because I'm curious.
I was not expecting this question. Very exciting though. Okay. So we have decided that we're going to do them every 6 months, and we're going to do them usually on Veterans Day weekend and Memorial Day weekend, unless we change it up for a specific activity type of retreat. Like hypothetically, maybe at this spring retreat, we decide that next year we want to do it as like a ski event, and so then we could do it not just on Veterans Day weekend shift, etc. But the next one will be Memorial Day weekend. And I'm currently looking for the location because I love the way that we set up this last one, where it was like we didn't have to leave. Because when you're, maybe you're just at a house, but then you have to leave to go on an adventure to go to the lake, or you have to leave to go to the fire pit or whatever, it creates a different environment than, nope, you're all stuck here and you don't have to leave. All the food's coming to us. And it's just like you wake up together, you go to sleep together. Sounds weird. It wasn't. It was great. So it's going to be another giant house that sleeps. This past time it slept, we had 25 people there. I'm hoping to find one that's going to be 35 people. We'll see if that pans out. It's also, this one won't be in North Carolina. I'm looking within an hour of a major airport, and we'll see where that lands. So if listeners, you're out there and you're like, man, I know the perfect spot for this, hit me up because I'm on the hunt. And yeah, this one is going to be another similar vibe, but in the future, I think we'll probably shift to doing, skiing during the day and business building at night, or like surfing during the day and business building at night, etc. Something like that, just to some variety. Does that answer your question, Allie? Apple listeners, this short pause is to ask you for a review. Here's how to do it. Back out of the specific episode, go to the page where you see all the episodes, scroll down, keep scrolling. Perfect. Now tap those 5 stars. Thank you so much. Back to the show.
Yeah, that answers it. And I'm very stoked about this surfing. Oh my God, I went one time, and not to like toot my own horn, but I was a pro. I stood up like my second time, and it was just, dude, I'm a natural surfer, but I'm not a skier. But I'm still down for the skiing one because I'm going to be in the hot tub all day. So I'm excited.
Pruny girl. But yeah, one of
Pruny
the things
Alley.
I have to say that, you guys know this was like a super inexpensive trip for you. Like the cost of the entire weekend, which was 100% covered, the lodging, every bit of the food, all of the snacks, the swag bags that everyone got, all of this was covered, and the pillars themselves like paid almost nothing. Like it was really cheap. So truly we could not have done this without our sponsors. So I do want to just give them a shout out real quick. So there's Robert Short Sleeves out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. He's a wholesaler. So if you're looking for off market deals, Sleeves is the man. He lives in Bali now. He started in a trailer park when he was young, and he got into the military and got into real estate. And now he lives in Bali and does all of this from afar. So very cool dude, very cool story. We also have John Freudenberg from Silk Inspections. This is another Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yes, ma'am.
Wait, how can people reach out to Sleeves before we go on to the next one?
Okay, you can go to sleevesdeals.com, like sleeves, like your short. Literally, his name is Short Sleeves, but it's sleevesdeals.com. Or you can find him on Instagram, Bob Sleeves. So then we have John Freudenberg, who is a home inspector in Fayetteville, North Carolina. By the way, these vendors are all the ones I personally work with. So I've worked with them for years. They're amazing. You should too. But John, you can hit him up on silkinspections.com. If you're in Fayetteville and you don't have an inspector, 100%, he's your dude. We have Hayes McDowell. He is for all of your insurance needs within North and South Carolina. The man, it's 910insurance.com is for Hayes for all of your insurance. Then we have Clint Hooper. He is a mortgage lender. He's the thing with the money. Okay. And he also services North and South Carolina. Super, super good dude. So he is Clint at empirefy.com. So Clint at empirefy.com. And guys, if you can't hear any of this, just hit me up and I'll send you. The last sponsor is Jamie Miller. So he is a communications coach, super freaking smooth with his lines. If you guys struggle with communication, he is fantastic at what he does. So hit him up at Jamie at artofconsciouscommunication.com. That's our sponsors. We love you so much. And otherwise, guys, anything, what did I miss? Anything?
I'll give Shelby a big shout out for putting on the whole thing, right? I know you spent a lot of time organizing it. Without a schedule and someone keeping everyone to it, it would have been chaos. So thank you for putting on an event like that. I know I got a lot out of it. Allie did. I mean, I think everyone did. Everyone that I talked to got a lot out of it. And now like I am closer with all those people that I met there. So big shout out and thank you for everything that you do.
I have to also say the same thing. Dude, Shelby, the amount of effort that you put into this and like you said, to keep the costs extremely so low. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you for putting everything together because you have that event planner in your resume, like you mentioned before, and you're good at it. Oh my gosh, like to the hour. Hey, this is what we're going to do this hour. This hour, you thought about the food in advance, the food items, itinerary, everything was made in advance. The treasure hunt, the scavenger hunt that you had for us. Everything was so thought out. Shelby, also, you did such a good job of putting everything together. The and what I thought was like so cute was the awards. So you like thought out the awards for everyone with the photographer and the videographer that you hired. Now everyone has like updated bio photos. So we're not those agents that have that one photo for the entire 40 years of our existence as a realtor. So during the awards, like giving everyone got a backpack that was a capper, right? Backpack for the
No,
capper.
only the icons got backpacks. The
Okay.
cappers got caps.
Oh, duh. That's right. Okay. Okay. Yes. And Jason and I were the little iconers. So we got the caps and the little backpack. So I'm so excited. I'm using that. I've used that every single day since I've had it.
Have you really?
Yes, I love what a good backpack. Yeah, and the hat too, but the backpack every single day. So thank you so much. Like it was so cute. Like just the having that environment again, kind of speaking to the competition too that like we all have. So yeah, just like a chance to be recognized. And I'm not like, oh my God, thank you for recognizing me, but like recognizing the cappers,
No.
like other
Yeah.
people. Like it was really good, like that's like that also was one of my favorite like emotional moments, like, oh my, look at us as a crew. Like we're crushing. And I loved that. Yeah, I really like that. Plus it was unexpected. So thank you, Shelby.
Dude, I'm so glad you liked it because people get awards, they get like trophies or they get like a little plaque. And then you're like, oh, that's great for that minute. And then it's like, first of all, this is not even nice enough for me to want to hang on my wall. Like, what am I going to do with this? And so we
Yeah.
were trying to think really hard about like, what is something that people would actually be proud to wear or to use repeatedly? And so like, I have my little backpack right here and I got my cap too. But I just, the having something that you earned that you are recognized for and that kind of like bands you together with other people who have reached the similar achievement. It's just that I do think that there's a lot of power in recognition when it is earned. Like not everyone gets a trophy. Not everyone got a cap, not everyone got a backpack, but the icons who really, really, really crushed it, you guys, get the backpack and no one else can have it. Like you can't order it. It is now like a status symbol almost, but you earned it. And then same with the caps for the cappers. So you guys earned it. I'm just really glad you liked it.
You're really good at this. You're gonna be a great mom.
Thanks, Allie. Yeah, I just pretend all of you guys are my children anyway. Like
We are your
my
children.
babies. Yeah.
Yes. We
Well,
love
guys, I
you.
really appreciate you saying that a lot. The yeah. If it was right after the event, I would have cried because when we left that event, I was like so happy, but also so, drained from the excitement and planning it and all this stuff. Like I would have just been waterfalling tears. So luckily I've recovered. I appreciate both of you guys. And guys, if you're listening and you are curious about like conferences or retreats or want to hear more about Jason and Allie's experiences, please reach out to them. Jason, where can people find you?
Instagram's the easiest one, jasonboice.realtor.
Love it. And Allie, it is Allie, the agent on the gram. I'm also the Shelby Show on the gram. We would love to hear from you, feedback. See if you liked this type of thing. I know it's like super unconventional. It's not our normal style, but we kind of just wanted to rehash the experience and bring you guys along for the journey. So thanks for coming along, and listeners, be a bro and share this show. And guys,
I want to know.
Yes. Nope.
Go ahead.
You go.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
And it was so well received, everyone decided to do it again the next day.
Will you say that one line again just because your phone went off? So I want to make sure. Or someone's phone did. Yeah.
She just walked in the door and is staring at me after I said that.
We're talking about you.
Am I right?
That is Clint at empirefy.com. MPIRE. Thanks so much for listening, dude. If you want the golden nugget that this guest provided, see the show notes or just go straight to theagentgoldmine.com. That's where we keep all our resources for you. Till next time.